So you want to get a better deck and you want some more deck ideas outside of, say, Hearthstone. There's a program called Hearthstone Deck Tracker, and they basically do a bunch of replays, it tracks your deck and so forth, but also uploads data into a database here for all the decks over sample size, as you can see here, over thousands and thousands of games. So you kind of get this statistical idea of how good your deck is. And so, for instance, I just go to hsreplay.net, and then you can click on decks here, and you can kind of see it'll load up all the decks, and then I can sort it by win rate. And you can see here that what are the top decks, basically based on, and you can specify it on legend, or you can do it. They do have some premium stuff. You can see particular matchups. So if you're fighting more decks than usual, but for instance, like Pirate Warrior is actually ranked #1 currently. It changes, so if we actually click this, it'll actually tell you how much dust it takes to craft it as well. You can see that, you know, the win rate of this deck can fluctuate based on the sample size and how many people are playing this particular deck, which is actually quite low. But at higher and higher ranks, there's more and more people playing this deck. Let me back up. You can see though that what's interesting though is you can see that Paladin is very powerful, and you can see here there's a lot of the Murloc stuff. So a lot of the Murloc Paladin is really powerful. But say if I want to find a really powerful Priest deck, well, I can go to player class over here and click Priest, and then I can sort of buy a win rate if I want to. And you can see that Priest is, you know, a good deck for Priest is going to win about 56% of the time. Now this is over. I want to just clarify something, that this is probably a little low on the win rate percentage. This includes really high level legend matches for starters, but it also is against basically anybody playing the deck. So it could be really bad people playing the deck. So often I feel like the win rate is a little low, especially if you're a better player. You can outskill them. But let's just take a look here on what type of, I can click this Priest deck. What's really cool about this service is they actually tell you what you should keep during your mulligan and what your win percentage is if you actually, because a lot of the Hearthstone is actually based around what you actually keep in your hand and what you mulligan. So this is a new interesting deck that's come out that's based on basically the elemental. It looks like the elemental Priest deck, which is really cool. And you see if I sort it by a mulligan win rate, or actually what I'd like to sort it by is keep. So what's the percentage that you should keep this card? So you could see I typically would want to keep anything over like a 60%. So they say, okay, what interesting, like you should definitely keep Northshire Cleric. That's your most powerful starting card. Mana Geode is another one. Radiant Elemental, Tar Creeper, and Tar Creeper is a 3-drop, and they're saying, yeah, you should keep it. It's at 80%, which is pretty good. Potion of Madness, because you know, remember you can go second as well and play the coin into Tar Creeper on the turn 2. You know, and then of course it draws off, and if you draw Free from Amber or high cost cards, and this sort of fits with the theory that, you know, if you draw those high cost cards first, your keep percentage should be really low. So if you have too many high cost cards in your deck, well, most of the time you're going to be really low. Like I often want to keep Dragonfire Potion in your hand. Well, actually it says don't do that. Don't keep Dragonfire Potion in your hand, because you should only keep it 6% of the time, really, or a very low percentage of time, and your win rate drops below 50% if you played it. So like the cards that are really good have pluses here, you know, plus win rate, and if you win, you know, like if you're able to get Medivh and you play Medivh, your win rate goes up to 64%. So it also tells you what cards are really powerful to actually keep in your win rate. And for instance, Elise is dropping a little bit to 57%. Really cool. And how many turns that you've held that card, and by what turn did you actually play that card. So the average time Medivh is played on is turn 9.9, and Free from Amber is a really slow card. It looks like it's actually a really clunky and slow card. So this is really cool. Also, you can see how the win rate fluctuates, like I said, and drops below 50%. So this is a great, let's just take a look at, so say you want to find like warlocks are a pretty weak class. Well, we can see what type of warlocks decks are doing okay, and they're doing at 56%. As you'd imagine, they're with the Murloc. The Zoo, Murloc, Warlock stuff is sort of where they're really good. Now, they're not as strong as Paladin because they don't have all the, taunt power that you have. So you can see this is a very aggressive Murloc deck just by like highlighting over it, and most of them are the really, hyper aggressive ones. But the difference between, you can see here we have 3,400 games played. So this is a very good sample size. Also, a really cool thing too is it tells you the duration, average duration of the game. Let's take a look. So like the more control warlocks, the duration is about 8 minutes of game time typically. Now these are ranked matches, so you have, let's take a look here. You have Molten Giants, and this is a Jiraxis deck. I bet you this, it's very low played. But this is actually kind of more of a control warlock. It actually uses Eater of Secrets, as Faceless Shambler, Hellfire. And I've seen, because the thing about Hearthstone is there's only creates deck when people submit them. So this is really cool. This is based off Jiraxis. Interestingly, this does not use Alexstrasza. But this looks like a really cool deck you could actually play, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I mean, it does have above a 50% win rate, so and legend, so it does look like it could be a lot of fun. Hope this video helped you find some more interesting decks that you could play, and in the future expansions to come. Like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next chapter.